It's the fourth Tuesday of the month of May already, and that means it's time for Real Estate Remix in studio. Poonam and Aruna, your local experts on all things real estate in this area. Ladies, welcome back. How we been? Busy. Yeah. First, congratulations are in order for you, Aruna. You had a graduation just this weekend.
Yes, my daughter got high school graduation, and it was beautiful, but I'm still tired.
Yeah.
I am about to lose my voice, so I hope people can understand me.
The work that goes into those, and Poonam, I know you two work together, what feels like around the clock. I'm sure you know better than anybody. But yeah, it's a lot of work. So have that decompression after the fact.
Yes.
Just to kind of get back into the swing of things.
Yes, we need that.
I know. So now I'm going to make you talk for another hour about all things real estate. Last month, if you folks missed it, you can go to kfjo.com and you can find the Real Estate Remix tab that has all the podcasts. So if you missed anything, in fact, we're going to pick that conversation up because we're talking about the buying process, and we didn't get through it in that hour that we had just last month. So I want to pick up where we left off before we dive into some of the other things going on. People want to say that spring's the busiest time to buy and sell. I want to know from you whether or not that's true a little bit later on. But Aruna, I think we left off last week at the point where it's about time to make that offer. And the process that goes into that, after they've contacted one of you two, they found the home, they love it, they want to put that offer in, but they don't know how that looks.
Absolutely. And you know how I start this offer topic? First of all, I want to tell you there is a couple of word terminology for the offer. One is a purchase agreement. Mm-hmm. One is an offer. Because I have been asked when I tell my clients, hey, we'll be putting an offer. And I get a text message within no time. But aren't we supposed to sign the purchase agreement? So purchase agreement and offer is the same thing.
Okay.
When an offer is fully signed and accepted, it's considered a purchase agreement.
Okay.
Yes.
I was to say, so what's the difference between the two? Because I think I've used them interchangeably as well in the two times I've gone through this process.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, so that's like one big question like we have been asked, like when I say, yeah, we're going to make an offer. And then I'm like, hey, I just sent you the purchase agreement to sign. I'm like, but you said we were going to make an offer. So thank you, Poonam, for telling the difference.
Yes.
So today, we are going to cover the steps how to make an offer. Mm-hmm. Because there's like some steps like everybody should follow because there's a lot of like negotiations can happen and like inclusions and exclusions and closing date and home inspection and earnest money deposit. So how I'm going to start basically to put an offer, the first thing, putting the earnest money deposit together along with the offer. Mm-hmm. And again, what is earnest money? The simple and easy way to explain that, when we go and rent an apartment, we go and give the property management a deposit check. Yeah. But there's no guarantee that you will get the deposit check back after your lease terminate or lease expires, because there will be few things here and there.
As somebody who rented every year from a different place in college, which it took me a couple years longer than it should, that rental deposit seemed to never find its way back to me.
See, here you go. So that's the biggest difference when you're buying a home. When you're renting an apartment, you're putting a deposit and there is no guarantee that you will get the full deposit back. But guess what? When we buy a home, you get your deposit back at the day of closing.
But there are some things that could make you lose that earnest money too. We will cover that in like a little bit later. Yeah. Go ahead, Aruna.
Yes. So like good scenario, you get your money back at the day of closing towards your total cash to close your lender had told you to bring. But bad scenario, people have asked, oh, my offer is contingent upon home inspection, right? I'm like, absolutely. So what happened if the house fails home inspection? Mm-hmm. You get your earnest money deposit back. So the day we put an offer until the day of closing, this is kind of like, I would say 60 to 75 days process, like the day you get your house key from the day you put an offer.
Yeah, I say it's like a road trip, right? There could be some bumps, but it could be smooth. So be ready for that.
To me, this was the stretch that was, I think, the most stressful. And the whole process is, okay, we found it. We want to have this offer. We want that inspection. What's going to come out of this inspection?
Yes.
Is there going to be anything bad? Are they going to be able to move out in time for us to move in because it was contingent on the... It was a stressful process.
No, you were right, absolutely. Because this is a process.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right. So that's why it's good to give all these things, basically the list of these things we'll be following throughout the whole process to our clients ahead of time so they know what's next.
Yep.
So long story short, like the worst scenario if house fails home inspection, good scenario for the buyers, we go and send the cancellation of the purchase agreement and you get your earnest money check back.
But it all depends on the offer as well. When there are multiple offers, there are people who would say no inspection.
Yeah.
If there's no inspection contingency and you decide to back out after inspection, you can still do the inspection. You could lose that earnest money. Then there's a couple of other things like appraisal or contingency for the financing. So if you have not put those contingencies, it all depends how many contingencies you've put, or contingency of the flood-proof certification. So if there are contingencies there and during those time period, if you're not satisfied, you will get your earnest money back.
Okay.
Let's say somebody loses a job and now there is no pre-approval letter. Bank is not going to give you finances. You didn't do anything wrong. You get if it's contingent upon financing.
When it comes, because that's why last month we had talked about, hey, getting that pre-approval, getting the financing in line before you even get to this stuff.
Absolutely.
That's why it's so important to go and make sure you have all this ready, go to your lender and have, okay, this is what we are good for.
But I want to cover one thing about the financing contingency. As I said, this is like 45 to 60 days process from the day we are putting an offer until the day of closing. Again, worst scenario. Couple is not even together anymore.
Or the one I remember, please. It happened to our clients, and it's lenders' duty, and normally lenders would tell you, hey, do not open any new credit cards, do not change jobs, nothing. But one lady who was probably like Aruna, she went to JCPenney and she found some diamond ring or whatever. She was going to get the discount of $300 if she opens a credit card. And they were on that 650-ish mark, credit
right
score.
There, yeah.
Her husband reminded her, do not open that credit card. She did. So the credit score dropped. They do a soft pull before closing. This was a lot of, oh my God. Imagine having a puncher in the middle of the night. That's how it was. Or worse, I would say.
I
go
can
ahead.
about imagine the conversations had in that household after that.
Oh my gosh. But thank God, like our lender was pretty like smart enough and we all had a game plan. So closing ended up getting delayed, but we still closed the home. But I was like, when you are not together and you go to the lender and say, hey, can I buy a house alone? No, you cannot.
and I think all the couples out there don't think it's an idea. One of the other deal, what happened, wife did not, for some reason, wife changed her mind that she didn't like the house. She wanted a brand new house. So she quit her job purposely.
Boy, that's sticking it to the man, I'd say.
Can you imagine that?
No, I could not.
Women out there, don't quit your job.
Don't do that. It's taken two in this situation, and there's two in here. Poonam and Aruna. They'll take your comments. We'll continue this conversation of how you close this deal when we come back here on Real Estate Remix. Real Estate Remix here on After These Live. Poonam and Aruna are in studio. If you have a question or a comment, you can send those into 35270. We'll talk about making that offer. That was one of those decisions when we found that home. We had everything lined up like we've been talking about. We didn't know exactly what to put that offer in. I was afraid if we came in too low, they would laugh us out of the room. But working through that process wasn't necessarily easy until I worked with the realtor that I was with at that time. So how do you decide what to offer when you're looking to buy?
So here's the thing. Definitely be a team player. Talk to the realtor. And then when we're putting an offer, don't ever feel pressure that whatever your realtor recommended or find the comparables that you have to go with that number, because realtor's job is basically to find the resources and find the sold comparables within the same neighborhood about that similar home to tell you how much those houses were selling for in the last 6 months. So that's all technically that realtor's job is, instead of putting pressure on the buyer. Hey, if you go that low, you might get rejection. Well, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I believe in that theory. So at the end of the day, I give this opportunity to my buyer because that's their right to say, okay, so you gave us the low. high and recommended number, your realtor gave these 3 numbers to you, the last decision should be made by the buyers where they are comfortable, because by you going really low, you might offend the sellers.
Yeah, because I've heard the horror stories that, not my clients, but from people who didn't work with me previously, but later on decided to work through us, whether selling or buying. Oh, realtor told us to offer this, or she or he was not going to write the offer. No, it's your money. You decide what you have to offer. Of course, they're going to guide you. They're going to look at the comparables. Okay, this similar home in this similar neighborhood, similar, square footage with this similar condition should be this much. But that's it, really. If you feel like offering low, offer low. Why not? Mm-hmm. But yes, I would say work as a team player, and it all depends how much you like the house as well. It's like, again, you'd say I bring in dating and proposing and stuff. It's like, you don't have to marry the first house you see. You could still put an offer if it's somewhat, in your price range and everything, but don't be heartbroken if you don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Like, don't get emotional, because, by going emotional, you're going to hurt yourself mentally. And then I say, until the day of closing, negotiations are going to keep on happening until the day of closing, and we are sitting and signing the documents. There will be still something we'll be discussing.
I agree with Aruna. Negotiations are like back and forth dance of the real estate. So be prepared. Have you been to a flea market? If you haven't, just go there. You will know what I'm talking about.
I actually just had a garage sale in which I learned about the negotiation. I had something listed for $1, and somebody says, "How about 50 cents?" They won. I just wanted that $1. Just take it.
Did they even have 50 cents in their pocket?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
They had a whole pocket full of change.
So did you hear what Poonam said, that it's like a dance of real estate? Mm-hmm. So you mean like ballet or pole dance, or what do you really mean?
I don't know. I meant stay flexible, stay cool. Anything could happen.
Okay.
Go with the music and flow where night takes you.
Good to know.
You were right about the negotiation going up until that closing date. Again, I mean, just going from my experience, they were building in the house we were about to move into, and it was about a week before the closing that they wanted to push that out. And we were selling and moving out on the same day.
Oh, wow.
We did not go along with that negotiation. And it ended up working out, but again, that stressful of those 45 to 70 some days, it's like, okay, now what's coming our way?
Absolutely. And I think especially in North Dakota nice. People are really polite. Be polite. Yes, be polite. Don't take it personally. Treat a little bit as a business as well. If you can get a deal, why not? Ask your realtor, hey, is it buyer's market or is it seller's market? Why are the sellers selling the home? What are the utility costs? I mean, all that would help. Is there any other offer on the table? All that would help you to decide what you want to offer. I mean, yeah, sometimes we are surprised. Wow, really? That's really below market value. But sometimes, really, do they want that much for this house? So sellers can ask whatever they want. They should ask their realtor too what they should be. But I'm focusing right on buyers right now. Just don't feel pressure. Go with the flow and see what you feel.
Yeah.
Do your homework.
Well, and again, being that team player as well, because when we were going through this, it seemed like a reasonable ask that they had. And, of course, the better half decided, well, let's ask for this. And they ended up accepting what our offer was, which was below what they were asking. We ran that by our realtor, and, it fell within that range. We talk about the comparables.
Yeah.
So it all worked out in the long run, but it was a process, and I'm glad that we have experts in the room that can help you through that.
Absolutely. We get surprised ourselves. Like, we had one listing that we had listed. It was many years ago. That was my sister, Aruna's friend's grandma. And, a realtor should never ask their sellers how low you would go. So when we got an offer, it was like about 12% lower than the asking price. Wow. And market was still hot. And we recommended her, but she still accepted it. She loved the letter the buyers had written. So you never know. I mean, again, the team player is a good way to go, but don't worry about asking for negotiations.
We'll come back with this conversation. You brought up a letter. I had a very interesting letter sent to my house.
Okay.
I'll share it with you on the flip side of this KFGO news update. In studios, Poonam and Aruna, Real Estate Remix. If you got a comment, send that into 35270. We'll continue this conversation next. Final half hour of Afternoons Live, and that means it's the final half hour of Real Estate Remix on this Tuesday afternoon. In studios, Poonam and Aruna, and we're talking about the old process of getting that closing done. That offer is getting compiled. You got the earnest money down. You're thinking about some of the inclusions you want in that offer. What are some of the exclusions? Well, that's a process that is well above my pay grade. I don't know which one of you want to take a crack at the inclusions. I'm seeing eyes dart over to you, Aruna.
I will take care of that, yes. So again, when we're putting an offer, our consumer, when we're putting an offer, they say, oh, inclusions means just like whatever seller is offering with the house or with the sales price. Again, if you don't ask, you don't get. When I'm showing houses to my clients, I say, look through the house one more time and see what you really like. Of course, it's their personal things. They might not say yes, but guess what? If someone is moving literally to out of state,
it's cheaper to probably sell it to you or just give it to you versus paying thousands and thousands of dollars and hauling that furniture. So you never know.
I was shocked at how many inclusions our seller was willing to have for our offer as well. You know, and it's one of those that when we saw it, we had some bookshelves in there this looks pretty good on this wall. I don't think we can replicate it. It's already here.
Yeah.
Can we see if they would include this in the sale?
See, here you go. So of course, like definitely kitchen appliances are the most one factor always coming with the house normally.
Generally they are, but be careful and double check because most of the time it should be in those listing remarks, whether it's in public or private remarks, that what is included and what's excluded. If you see beautiful shelves or something that's even attached to the wall, don't just assume it's included. Check what's in the exclusion as well. And if you want something, certainly go ask in your offer and see what they say. And even if it's a TV mount, that's a TV mount, it's an exclusion and you would rather have them leave it for you. And even if they say, no, we're not going to leave it, make sure right in there, patch the walls. So this is something to pay attention to. And refrigerator, what if they had said, hey, this is the refrigerator that was given to me by my grandma, so I'm going to replace it with a similar refrigerator. So just ask what's included and what's not. So everything is crystal clear, so there's no surprises other than, what you're going to be dealing with that day anyway.
Coming in the house and not seeing the oven would have been a shock for me. The kitchen appliance. Well, I thought that was just included in this.
See, here you go. Just imagine at the day of closing or at the final walkthrough, instead of stainless steel appliances or stainless steel fridge or something, you see, for God's sake, one white oven sitting there. You're like, what just happened?
Yeah,
Why it was not disclosed? Nope, it was disclosed. It was in the listing, but it was not discussed at the time when you were putting an offer together.
If you see a hot tub, that might be excluded. Those things are good to ask. Do not assume. And it's coming from experience.
We included the hot tub in ours.
Ooh,
That's
I
awesome.
would too. I did mine too, yes.
Oh, I did it too. And I think seller gave it to me with a heavy heart. And that's when my brother-in-law broke it when he was trying to fix it. Thank you, my brother-in-law.
Not as handy as what he told you he was. Huh? Those things are a lot more upkeep than I expected when I asked for them to include it, by the way.
Because they look so fancy, but the maintenance of the hot tub and the sauna or anything you talk about. Oh, sometimes our sellers want to leave their snowblower or their lawnmowers. And guess what? They don't even work pretty good.
Yeah.
So technically now it's your responsibility to haul them and basically throw them.
Yeah.
So make sure whatever you are saying, yes, they are in working order.
Talking about that, I think next step we're going to be talking about is the inspection too, because that's why it's important to get the inspection done on the property. And generally it has to be done in a certain number of days. And most of the inspector would not check the washer, dryer and stuff. So you can ask seller as well in the property disclosure. It should say if it's working or not, but ask those questions as well. What's working, what's not working, and then let the inspector check the house as well and see what they say.
Yeah, that inspection, I was shocked. I know that in that market that was just about 5 years ago was so wild. But how many people were foregoing the inspection and just saying, nope, we just want to buy it? I could never imagine. Do you guys get that a lot now still? If not, I don't even want the inspection.
Well, multiple offer situation, people do get emotional or aggressive that, hey, we want this house. This is it. But, again, we are there to tell them, please don't do that because there are more houses that are coming in the market. This is not the end of the world or the last house in the market.
And if it's meant to be, you will get it or there will be another one. So just stay cool and calm and keep it under control.
One thing I want to cover when we are doing this offer negotiation, inclusions or exclusions. Suppose if you're buying an older house, like 1950 or 1960 built, appliances are old, AC is old, furnace is old. I want to tell my clients for sure, get the home inspection done, of course. Even though you know everything is old, but we're still getting our diligence done. In that situation, I would actually bargain the home protection warranty plan for my clients. It's about $600 to $1,000 and you're covered for 1 full year. It's like when you go to Best Buy and buy a washer and dryer, one is their warranty and one is extended warranty.
Yeah.
So this is a big thing, especially when we are buying something which we know, for God's sake, it's 50-year-old or it's like 40-year-old.
Or if something has been vacant for a long time, even though it's a newer home, but that was sitting vacant, those appliances were not used. They might work today, but something might break tomorrow.
Yep.
Or something, even though inspection might be good, but, an appliance could break next day.
Yeah.
I mean,
It happened to your home.
yeah. So it's good to have that home warranty.
Her ice maker stopped working right away.
Not the ice maker.
Yeah, not the
All
ice
the
maker.
men in my family, that was my husband's fault.
So today,
Brother-in-law,
husband, they all are in trouble.
Those damn men, that's what the problem is.
I
We
know.
always
That's why women quit jobs.
In studios, Poonam and Aruna, it's Real Estate Remix. So the closing date, getting that thing set, that was, in my experiences last time, the most stressful because we were ready. Our house was being sold on the contingent, all that mess. And then at that a date was approaching, and then we got the question of, can we push this out? And we couldn't. We won that negotiation, but how do you get that date set? I mean, is that a whole thorough process as well?
That is a little discussion, absolutely. Because like if you're coming from a rental apartment and your lease is ending end of the month. So again, highly recommended, don't ever put your closing date at the same day when it's like your last day at your apartment. I can see you're smiling and blushing or glowing or something is going on
That's
there.
exactly
I can tell.
what we did.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're moving out. They're going to move in, and then we're moving into the new house. And then our seller was like, wait a minute. Our house isn't ready yet. We're building, and we had delays.
Right. So I would recommend, there is a thing I want to cover. So on or after 3rd of the month, generally, we have been told by our lenders that our buyer's first monthly payment will be the following month, not the next month of the closing. So if I am closing, say June 6th, so my first payment will not be in June, will not be in July. My first payment will be in August. So I would say pick something middle of the month so we have at least 2 weeks in between vacating our apartment, cleaning it, and try our best to get your deposit back, which I know if you get it or not.
I know, and any other nightmares that could happen, like if there's any lien on the property that shows up on the title work, or somebody else's closing is delayed and yours is pushing out. So it's good to pick a date in second week or third week of the month so you have some time. And if you're closing at the same time and moving from one house to another, I would say, why don't you ask for early garage access? There are people, again, North Dakota nice, many times they would allow you. If not, then have your movers and packers ready, put everything in the trucks and store it somewhere so you can sleep with peace that night, because it is hectic day.
It is. And unfortunately, we've gotten to the age where pizza and beer doesn't entice your friends
Oh,
and family
God,
to come
no.
help with the old move, ladies.
Because guess what? We all are old. Everybody's back hurt now, so nobody's ready to offer help anymore.
It's true.
Who are you calling old?
I am old.
I'm owning it.
Okay.
I'll embrace it. I got a comment. When I bought my condo, my realtor convinced me to not get an inspection. I regret I did not get an inspection. Comes in from a listener.
That's painful.
That is coming from a realtor. That is not good. Sorry that you had that experience. It's because you didn't use Poonam and Aruna. They won't have done that for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We got to get a weather update from Too Tall Tom. We'll come back and we'll close out the closing agreement of Real Estate Remix next. Time's ticking to the 5 o'clock punch out, and I want to talk about the time clause inside of, when this thing's approaching, hey, it's done, we want to move in. When can this happen? Talk about the time clause, Aruna.
So when my buyers submit the offer, they get so excited / nervous, and they say, when I'm going to hear about my offer respond from the sellers. So especially if it's a multiple offer situation, I do recommend our buyer clients to put a time clause in the offer. So you're not just keep on sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting for a day, 2 or 3. So now officially in the purchase agreements, we have on our last page that we can certainly go ahead and write it, that we need to have our sellers respond to our offer no later than 24 hours or 48 hours or something. So they have to get back to us basically yes, no,
or counter.
Or even counter.
Or even like, hey, we need more time. So at least, those
buyers.
Those buyers who are just getting nervous, they have some sort of response. So I would say stay patient there. We can certainly put a time clause. We don't advise to put a time clause all the time, but if you are impatient, we should certainly discuss about it and put a time clause on our offer.
There is something about that, though, whether it's about buying a home or if you've applied for a job. You have the application and then you're not hearing anything back, and that uncertainty can drive a person crazy.
Absolutely. And, if we have not heard, let's say you didn't put a time clause and we have not heard in 2 days, we can still say, hey, Hagen addendum stating we need to get a response by this date or this time. After this, our offer would be null. So, we could certainly do that.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know that I knew that was even an option in this process.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Yes.
Because when you're as impatient as I am, you want answers right away.
I agree.
Yes or no, just tell me one way or another. So I'm not sitting here thinking about it nonstop.
Absolutely. But, sometimes if it's an estate sale or there's more than one sellers involved or like a family dispute, you don't know. Sometimes it can take time. That's why it's good to stay informed at least. So that's why on those cases, we would say don't put a time clause. But yes, you can put that time clause later on as well.
I imagine, again, the market of 5 years ago versus now, I don't think are comparable just because it was so wild. Everybody was wanting a different house because of COVID. When you have all those different offers, I imagine that kind of brought things a little bit slower.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But typically, what do you expect, I guess, when it comes to response? Just generally speaking, without having a time clause, does it take a few days or is it usually within a day?
I would be very honest. I tell my sellers or buyers, you want to sell, somebody want to buy. Why to wait?
Absolutely. And you want to be respecting them the way they're respecting you. You want to be respectful to them to respond them in a timely manner, which means within the same day.
There's a real scenario just happened to us. We got a cash offer, for God's sake, like a second day of us listing the home. And, it's just one of those things where our sellers are like, no, I want to make sure that my open house happened. I have a few more showings happening. And actually buyer ended up withdrawing the offer.
Which is a smart move. I understand what those sellers were doing, but we had, because we know the market too. That's what I'm saying. We will never put pressure. We never put pressure on them.
Until we know time is an essence.
Yeah, but we never put pressure on them.
No.
We said, okay, this is a great offer. We would suggest you to take it. Don't wait for the open house but they didn't, again, because we are it is your home.
Yep.
Do what now they regret. They said, I wish we had listened to you. That's why teamwork is important.
Poonam and Aruna, they're going to be with us again next month for a real estate remix. I've only got 30 seconds here. Do you have a website you want to direct people to?
Yep.
It's www.arunag.com. And of course, our cell numbers are the best resources to reach out to us. Call or text. Anytime, maybe not anytime. It depends on the day of the time. 701-552-1706.
701-552-2937.
Thank you, ladies. We'll continue After News Live tomorrow here on KFGO.